their function or lesions and the cerebellar peduncles. Okay? So, ituturo ko lang sa inyo itong sa brain. Para review. Review actually naman kasi supposedly you already know about this. Okay? So, your cerebral cortex, you know that it's divided into lobes by your central sulcus of Rolando and your lateral sylvian fissure. That part in front of the central sulcus is the frontal lobe, while that lobe behind the central sulcus is your parietal. That part below the sylvian fissure is your temporal. Okay, and of course this is your occipital pole. Okay, so again you have to orient where you see the cerebellum, that's posterior. Where your temporal pole points, that is anterior, or where your sylvian fissure originates is anterior. Okay, so we all agree this is your central sulcus of Rolando, and you can see that because it has two parallel gyrus running in front and behind. Therefore, if this is central sulcus, this is your precentral gyrus. Brodmann's area, what? 4. Function. Motor, okay, and you know your homunculus, the face, the throat will be here, then the face, and then your upper extremities, your body will be, the trunk will be here, the legs will be there, okay. Then, so that if you have lesion here, you would have, later na lang in relation. So this in front of the precentral gyrus, the precentral sulcus, then you have two sulci, your superior and your inferior frontal sulcus, which divides it into superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal, inferior frontal. Okay, inferior frontal on the left side is significant because of the Broca's area, and specifically the anatomical parts corresponding to Broca's area is your pars, opercularis, and triangularis. Okay, corresponding to Brodmann's area 44 and 45. So that if you have a lesion in this area, you would have, your speech would be what? What type of aphasia will you have? Motor or sensory? Motor. Your speech will be telegraphic. Okay? If it is on the left. If your lesion is on the right, Broca's area, your speech would be dull and monotonous. Okay? So this is your Broca's area. So those are the parts of the frontal lobe: precentral gyrus, superior frontal, middle frontal, inferior frontal, containing on the left your Broca's speech area. Parietal lobe. Just behind the central sulcus is the post-central gyrus, Brodmann's area 312, corresponding to your primary somesthetic cortex or sensory cortex. If you have a lesion of this area, you will have complete absence of proprioception and vibration sense on the opposite side, diba? Because of the decussation at the middle thirds of the medulla. And again, the same homunculus will hold true for your the same homunculus in the precentral gyrus is true for the postcentral, meaning your face region would be here, your upper extremities, and then the trunk will be there. Okay? So if there is a lesion here, you would have absence, complete loss of proprioception and vibration, but there is a retention. You will still be able to feel pain because at the thalamic level, you would be this would enable you to perceive pain. Behind the postcentral gyrus is the postcentral sulcus. Then the remainder of your parietal lobe is divided just into two. The superior parietal lobule, which is your secondary somesthetic cortex. On the right, if you have a lesion of the right superior parietal lobule, you would have contralateral neglect. Okay? Now, the inferior parietal lobule is made up of two gyrus, the supramarginal and the angular. How do you differentiate between the two? If you follow your sylvian fissure, the gyrus that hugs the tip of the superior of the sylvian fissure is your supramarginal, While if you follow the superior temporal sulcus, the gyrus which hugs it is your angular gyrus. Okay? Both of these, supramarginal and angular, which are parts of the inferior parietal lobule, are association type of cortex. Okay? So this is purely motor. This is a motor cortex. This is sensory cortex. While your supramarginal and angular are association cortex. Okay? Now, your angular gyrus on the left corresponds to Brodmann's area 39, which is your Wernicke's area for written word. Okay? While your Brodmann's area for spoken word will be here, at this region of area 22, the posterior part of the superior temporal gyrus. Okay? So you already know parietal lobe. Now let's talk about the temporal lobe. It is divided into 3 gyri by the superior and the middle temporal sulcus, superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal, inferior temporal gyrus. As far as functional significance is concerned, your superior temporal gyrus is important because if you open it along this banks, you would see the transverse gyrus of Heschel, which is the primary auditory area, area 41-42, while at its posterior surface would be your Wernicke's area, which is for spoken word. So that if you have a lesion of this area, you would have sensory aphasia, which is characterized by a language with jargon aphasia, neologisms, and word salad. Okay? So that is the Reynan, humingi ka nga ng ano. So let's go to the basal surface of the brain. Okay. On the basal surface of the brain and the brain stem, just to correlate na pala, this region is supplied mainly by your middle cerebral artery, except for this about 1 inch at the dome, at the topmost part, which is supplied by your anterior cerebral. And that is why sa practical yata ng A, yung binaba ko yung pin. Okay? Which is, and this area from here to there would now be your anterior cerebral artery area, while the occipital pole is mainly by your posterior cerebral. And of course, also your inferolateral part of your temporal lobe. Okay? Now, if you look at the brain stem, so this is your, this is your medulla, this is your pons. If you compare it here, okay, you can really see this is the massive band of fibers here comprises your transverse pontine fiber. So this is your basilar sulcus on which rests your basilar artery. This is the brachium pontis on each side of the pons. Actually, this is your trigeminal. Oh, kitang-kita ang trigeminal nerve dyan. Laki. This is the brachium pontis or the middle cerebellar peduncle, which connects the pons with your cerebellum. Okay? And this is your pontomedullary junction. Okay? So that this elevation here on each side would comprise the pyramids. While itong nasa gilid na to would be your inferior olives. Ito siya. Ventral siya. Ventral. So, pyramids. Pyramids. Inferior olives, inferior olives. If you have a lesion of the pyramids, what will be the manifestation? What does the pyramids contain? Hindi. Fasciculus, coniatus, and ano yun? Anong laman ng pyramids? Pyramidal tract. Anong pyramidal tract? Ano laman ng pyramidal tract? Corticospinal fibers. And what type of fibers are they? Motor, okay, descending, and this is what? If there will be a lesion here, what will be the manifestation? Let's say this is the left pyramids. What will be the manifestation?